January 2nd, 3rd, somewhere in there, we started hearing. But the thing is that what a lot of people, so my job, I'm actually an economist, and I focused on the U.S.-China trade war. I worked with the government think tank in China for 3 years, and now I work with Mongolian think tanks and one U.S. think tank and the UN. But my point is that I've been following all the developments that affect the economy, and a lot of people don't realize there was an N1H1 outbreak in China last year in January and February, and it was bad enough that a lot of companies in Shanghai told their employees to stay home. And it didn't, I don't know, it didn't really make the international news. I don't think it was a cover up or anything. I think for whatever reason, it just wasn't interesting to the news. But the reality was a lot of companies stayed home for about a week last year with N1H1. And it went all the way from Shanghai to, I was based out of Shandong at that point, which is very far from Shanghai, like 5-6 hours by train. And it was in both cities. And the other thing that happened was in 2018, there was a swine flu epidemic that affected pigs, and suddenly you couldn't eat pork, and pork got really expensive, and it wasn't safe, and so most of us stopped eating it. And that was 2018, and that is still going on now. So, and the other one was the bird flu came last year, and same thing. It went right up until even during January when I was reading the coronavirus stories on page 1, on page 8, they're killing 30,000 chickens because of bird flu. And the other thing that most people don't know, and I only know because I was working in Mongolia on economic issues here, and there's a large rodent called a marmot, which is like this huge rat kind of thing that lives out in the Gobi Desert. And apparently the Mongolians like to eat them. So a Mongolian couple ate the marmot in November. They died of bubonic plague. Okay, so most people don't even know that bubonic plague still exists. So then we hear rumors that there's a bubonic plague outbreak in Inner Mongolia, which is inside of China, right? And we hear rumors that there's an outbreak there, and there's so much exchange going on between the Mongolians in Outer Mongolia and Inner Mongolia that, I mean, everybody's got a cousin, a friend, somebody that's on the other side of the border. So we get all the, gossip and things that are not in the official news. So we hear that there's this outbreak of bubonic plague in China. And like within a day, it doesn't appear in the news anymore. And like China's trying to hush it up, right? Then the next thing I know, I read President Batulga of Mongolia gave permission to the Chinese army to fly attack helicopters into Mongolia, into the Gobi Desert, to kill marmot. And I thought that was such a weird thing to happen. I'm like, first of all, what country allows another country to send their military in there and shooting and all this? But it was, to kill that, like, that's how desperate they were to kill these marmot because of a bubonic plague outbreak in Inner Mongolia. So this was like October, November. So, I mean, China just in the last year, in the last year, 2 years, it's like 4 different plagues going on, 4 different, epidemics.
Now, I did ask Andy, like,